talk about private property in JavaScript class. A few years ago, when you had to build a class in JavaScript, there were no keyword class really associated in the language. So what you had to do, for example, you will create a function, let's say user. Let's assign that the username. And now once you have that class, let's call it a function at this stage, you will just create an instance of that by saying user, and let me give it an initial value. Okay, so if we look into that instance, we see that that instance is built based on the prototype function user. Okay, so now let's add a public property in this class. So what you will do here, you will say here, I'm gonna pass the username. And now you see on line 9 that we have a property login available inside our prototype user, which means that now if you say, for example, user.login, you should be able to see that there is a property login available inside the instance as well. Now, what we have here is what you call a public property. Okay, I pass that, I add a property login in the this keyword of that function. So now let's make it a private property. So the way you will do so, you will say, I'm gonna add a login here and assign that the name. And as you can see now, inside the user prototype, there is no property login, right? This is just a local property and it serves you as a private property for this class. Okay, as I keep saying class, but you can think about function were used as a way to create an instance. So they were used as classes in the past before we had the class keyword. Now you can also see on line 13 that login is undefined. However, it doesn't return, it doesn't yell at us, even though we're using here an editor that supports TypeScript and we don't have an error. So now let's move on to using class, and I'll show you how you will do the same thing with classes. So what you do here, let's comment out this and create a class. And we're gonna create our class user and have a constructor, pass a username, which is a string. Okay, so as you can see right away on line 16 already, you have a small error that says login does not exist on type user. So that's just TypeScript yelling at you, right? So let's make our property login. Let's create our property login. So I'm just gonna add the login here. And this one is a public property. Okay, so I go here and I'm just gonna assign the username to that login. Okay, and as you can see on line 18, we have again the login available in the prototype, and on line 19 the value that we assign in the constructor when we created the value. So now if you want to make it a private property in JavaScript, what you will do, you will just add a pound right before, and right away you can see that there is no more user property available, and here user.login is undefined. However, it might be your wish to actually make that login property available outside. So the way you will do that, you will create a login property and you're just going to return this dot again. And now as you can see right below, we have user.login that return the name we passed right here, and we have now two things. This login here represents what you call the private property, and this login right here is the public one. Okay, let me write that, public property. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you on the next video.